Sea of Thieves recently changed how sailing works, and I think they kind of broke it for PvP in a way people weren't expecting. Chasing and running is always going to be a hot topic, and that's what the sailing speed changes were balanced around, but that's not what this video is about. I want to show you the unintended impact this has had on active PvP encounters. Every ship used to have a sail configuration that we referred to as battle sails. This was whatever led to the most comfort during active combat with the least amount of tweaks required to the helm or sails. For all ships, this required centered sails. The brigantine would only use one of its sails, while the galleon would use one or two. These resulted in the most consistent ship speeds, which makes for nice round circles around the enemy and could free up the crew to focus on other tasks. If you had them sideways instead, the ship would massively speed up when they caught wind, and this would effectively make you lose cannon angle before you could react. This is precisely what has now changed. So let's focus on the unintended change, the changes to circling. I'll start with the sloop because all ships now behave the same, the bigger ships just have the effects amplified. The sloop with centered sails used to make these lovely little consistent circles. Even a solo player could focus on cannons and bucketing without needing to fumble with the wheel or the sails a lot. However, after June's update, this same sail configuration now results in a drifting, elongated circle that is no longer suitable for this. The second loop will already result in an accidental ram strat instead of maintaining cannon angle. But we can sort of fix this. We need to do something unintuitive instead. Angle sails all the way to one side. It doesn't matter which side, just that it's all the way over. This results in a more consistent circle than centered sails now, but still not as good as before this update. As far as I can figure out, the basic reasoning for this is that with centered sails, you get a decent speed boost with any angle of tailwind. But sideways sails are more picky about when they give you the speed boost now, making sideways sails the more consistent experience. These details are even more amplified on the bigger ships though, so let's check out a brigantine. Much like the sloop, we had a pretty consistent circle before with a single centered sail. It drifted more than the sloop, but the bigger ship can also have a more dedicated helm operator, so this was fine. If you try this after June's update though, the results are wild. The path it takes now barely even overlaps with the previous loop, meaning you need to do a lot of sail or wheel management to accommodate these changes. Yikes. But just like the sloop, we can surprisingly get more consistent circles just by turning that main sail to any side. With these put side by side and scaled to each other properly, you can see just how important changing our habits is going to be. The new sideways results are similar to the old centered results, despite the new centered results being completely useless. The galleon with two dropped sails is a similar story. Note how the new centered sail configuration makes two giant non-overlapping loops instead of tighter, barely overlapping loops. Sideways sails is going to be way easier to manage for the galleon as well. So in summary, if you're actively rotating on someone, for the most consistent circles you must now keep your sails all the way to one side. Even then, you'll need to make more adjustments than you ever needed to before. I don't think Rare intentionally messed up our naval combat because these sailing changes were more inspired by running and chasing balance than active combat. What is intentional though is you dropping a like on this video if you learned something. And if you'd like to learn more in the future, get subscribed, because the science doesn't end here. Cheers, folks.
Can I give YouTube a message?
Sure, what would you like your message to YouTube to be?
I want the whole world to know